Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Here we review and talk about the movies and TV shows we watch and try to make the best recommendations for you. If you like what you see, please support the channel by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Today, I'd like to talk about Deadloch, a feminist noir comedy set against a bucolic backdrop with a rising body count. Created by Australian creators Kate McCartney and Kate McLennan. The series follows leading character Senior Sergeant Dulcie Collins, portrayed by Kate Box, who you may know from Rake if you are a fan of law TV shows, or from Wentworth, a show about inmates in a female prison. With her, we also follow Detective Eddie Redcliffe, portrayed by Madeleine Sammy, who also starred in Double Parked, and along with them, an overeager junior, Abi Matsuda, as they investigate the murder of a local man. Episode 1. Everything starts on the eve of the Deadloch Winter Festival. The body of local football club coach Trent Latham is found on the beach by two local teenagers. Sergeant Dulcie Collins takes charge, but Detective Eddie Redcliffe arrives to take over the investigation, causing friction. Mainly because she seems to want to speed things up by drawing quick conclusions. She doesn't really care about the case or the people, and she's not willing to work with Dulcie. As soon as she arrives, she thinks she has figured out everything about the motive for the murder, claims to have found the killer, and tries to trace any evidence to incriminate him. On the other hand, Eddie's uninhibited temperament does not seem to suit Dulcie, who, despite the direction Eddie has given to the investigation, decides to follow her own lead. Dulcie also has to deal with the local population and the publicity this event brings to the town and to the ongoing festival. It soon becomes apparent that the town is full of lesbians and that some members of the local population are feeling a little invaded by them. And the lesbian festival doesn't help matters. On top of that, she also has to deal with Kath, her oversensitive and somewhat intrusive partner. By the end of the episode, it became clear that Trent Latham's murder wasn't an isolated killing as they found the body of yet another man. Episode 2. Dulcie still has to deal with Kath's plans for the couple while investigating. In order to establish a link between an unsolved local death and this case, she accidentally exhumes the body of the town's former mayor, which arouses the ire of the community. Meanwhile, Abby begins to gain confidence by exploring her own forensics avenues, and the boat of Sam O'Dwyer, Victoria O'Dwyer's husband, who disappeared years ago, is set on fire. But Eddie is still not willing to acknowledge that the two cases are linked and now thinks the case is drug-related. And, after having antagonized all the suspects they've met for questioning, she finds herself chasing a hooded figure through the bush. All of this is happening while the Deadloch Festival is in full swing in town. We are also introduced to Margaret Carruthers, portrayed by the fantastically talented Pamela Rabe. She really is remarkable here too. By the end of the episode, long-missing Sam O'Dwyer appears to be the prime suspect. Episode 3. As the Deadloch Festival program continues, despite two murders, the body of another suspect is found on the shore of the lake. Despite the victim being dead for 5 years, Dulcie now fully suspects that everything is linked. In the meantime, Eddie continues to antagonize the local contractor and remains unconvinced by Dulcie's assumptions about the case. A massive DNA testing is organized in town, but it turns out useless. Dulcie then decides to consult a criminal profiler to get an insight into the psyche of the person responsible for all these murders. Dulcie finally has enough of Eddie's bullshit and confronts her. The two women have a heart-to-heart, and Eddie finally acknowledges that the murders are indeed the work of a serial killer. They finally decide to start working together. After the Sam O'Dwyer lead has been completely ruled out, clues suggest that the killer may be a woman who doesn't like men. In a town filled with lesbian women, the list of suspects is suddenly much longer. Episode 4. While Dulcie and Kath's relationship hits a very rough patch, new suspects are named and dismissed. But it's Eddie's slip-up at a press conference that really makes an impact. The temporary appointment of a forensics pathologist highlights the inadequacy of James, Abby's fiancé, and current forensics pathologist. This episode is really full of chit-chat, and most of the leads don't go anywhere. Episode 5. In the aftermath of Eddie's press conference, Deadloch is in a state of panic, and the killer strikes again, taking the count up to 5. The press is now all over the case, and everybody wants to know what the police are going to do about the serial killer. Eddie and Dulcie jump from suspect to suspect as people's relationships crumble around them. Dulcie was reluctant to suspect Skye O'Dwyer, one of Kath's friends, but when the evidence started pointing in her direction, she had no choice. Episode 6. Dulcie's having to bring Skye O'Dwyer in for questioning creates conflict in numerous relationships around town, and more importantly, between her and Kath, even more so when she has to arrest Skye. Meanwhile, more evidence is piling up and more bodies continue to surface. With the Deadloch Festival now in jeopardy, the mayor tries to salvage it, but misspeaks by insinuating that all is fine because only men are dying lead to mem outrage. Episode 7. In the aftermath of Episode 6 last event, men start fleeing the town as more bodies are recovered. Abby's spending time with the previously introduced temporary forensics pathologist makes her realise she likes it, and also how bad her fiancé James was for her. As the picture sharpens, things start to make sense and the investigators gradually get closer to the murderer. Secrets come to light, helping to advance the investigation. Meanwhile, men decide to take matters into their own hands and ship themselves out of town by bus to avoid being killed. The commissioner and his men seize the investigation and starts to arrest all the women suspects. Episode 8. The killer's spree continues, and now with the bus shipping out all the town's men missing, putting all of them in danger, Commissioner Hastings starts chasing the wrong lead. Dulcie, Eddie, Sven and Abby continue to investigate the murders in secret and finally work out who the killer is. I couldn't put everything that happened in each episode in this review because there's a lot going on in each one. There's Abby's character growth, Miranda and Tammy's ongoing story, Skye O'Dwyer's story, and Margaret Carruthers' plot. And at the end, all these stories come together to form one big intertwined tale. That's why I decided to stick with the two main characters' stories. But if you like this review, I really encourage you to watch the series. I give it a 8.5 out of 10. With a highly acclaimed Season 1, the release date for Deadloch Season 2 is eagerly awaited. Considering that this noir comedy still has plenty of stories to tell, it's easy to get why fans of the series are eagerly awaiting Season 2. The first season began streaming on June 1st, 2023, and ended with Episode 8 on July 7th, 2023. Since then, Amazon has not yet announced an official renewal. The series is available on Prime Video. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you appreciate the video, do not hesitate to like and subscribe. See you soon. Keep watching and thank you for supporting the channel.